Hi, everybody. Welcome to all those watching the replay. Welcome to those that are in here now. Zara, Little Sis, Wriggles, Christine, if you're still here, welcome in. How's everybody doing today? I'm just working on, actually, I said one of my goals this year was to use some of my bougie yarn, which I am. This is Vitalana from Knit Crate. It's a chainette yarn, merino, very nice. It's, this is the yarn. It's merino wool, baby alpaca, and organic cotton. It's a DK, and I am just doing up a cowl. Yes, I know, more cables. What can I say? I love cables. I was trying to, I had 5 videos that needed edited and uploaded and scheduled. I got the first one up. It went live. And then I went to do the second one, and my editing program kept crashing. So I just gave up. It had updated yesterday, and since then it just keeps crashing. So maybe wait for a little bit later on tonight. I'll go in. I figured I'd come in for an hour today. We are getting weather here. It is snowing, but it should be buffering. I have good stream coverage. It's full coverage. Let me see. Yep, full internet coverage. So how's it right? I got it. Zara, since you're here, I have a package from Zara. I'll turn it this way so you can't see the address. Welcome in, Tammy. Ooh, sausage, gravy, and biscuits, one of my favorites. Welcome in, big little sis Marlene. How are you, dear? This is the first package from the Happy Meal Advent Project 2024. Zara and I are doing it. Partners with Zara and Bella from Bella Uncinetto, Christina. So this is the first one I got. I was going to do a separate video, but we're here, so we'll go ahead and open it. I'm just going to mute while I open it. Welcome in, Kim G. So yes, Zara, I got it. Yours should be there. They shipped it, so it should be there. This is January and February for the Happy Mail, and we decided that we were going to do craft kits. It's empty. So Zara has January, February, and March on the way to her. The rest of it I'm sending. I'm waiting. I just ordered a bunch of craft kits. Plus, I'm going to be doing some myself. And they're on their way to her. And the other one I have to mail out this weekend. So, this one's closed up. So we'll look at this one here. Ear of basket weaving. That's different. Ear of corn basket. And what it is we're looking to send little kits. It could be knit, crochet, basket weaving, felting, needle punch, diamond dots, jigsaw puzzles, anything, just different each month. Just a little kit, nothing major. And then we're going to have the 12 days of Christmas. So I've already started planning mine. I have to. I got 4 advent boxes to do. Let me figure out how to open this. So I'll be posting these as I finish them. Yeah, we really haven't had much snow this year. We've had mainly the wind. Ooh. This here. And this is, you've got, let's see what it says. Got it comb for my hair. Let's see what it says here. macrame. Zara, when I was probably about 12 years old, I got a macrame kit for Christmas. And I never really got into it, but I like knots. I tie knots on the boat and fire department. So that's what it's going to be. So as I get into these, I will have to keep you guys posted. I'll be posting on the Yayas and on here. But that looks like it's going to be fun. And making keychains. So I imagine somebody might be able to get it in a Happy Mail. Zara, thank you very, very much. I hope you like the kits I sent you. I had to make notes. Like Bella, she only crochets. She doesn't knit, so I couldn't send her anything knitting. But like Zara, I'm looking at different types of crafts kits. So this should be fun to do. Thank you very much, Zara. Thank you. Thank you. This should be fun because these are two I've never done. I've done macrame, but it was 40 years ago. I'm 62, 40 years ago. So thank you very, very, very much. Honestly, you have 3 kits coming, Zara. I'd have to look back at my mail. Welcome in, Rita. Welcome in. And I will tell you, everybody, I've had a couple people contact me. They are already getting things getting started for the 5-year podiversary in August. Well, Zara, there'll be part of your March will be in with the because I'm going to send a couple months at a time because again, welcome in, Bella, welcome in, mi amica, ciao bella. Because how far it is to mail, but there's let's say yes, I've had a couple people that have already made donations for the podiversary, and I'm going back and forth thinking, okay, I'll do a 6-hour live, take a little break, and then come back for another 6 hours and play games and have giveaways. But it's a big it's a 5 years. It's a big one. And who knows, maybe I'll reach 2K by then. And then we'll have to have a double celebration, or I can get monetized by then, So, it's going to be fun. Let's see what else. Today I cleaned up a little bit. I had chatted with Suzanne from Suzanne is Hooked for a while, going over some things. It's going to be in August, Zara. My actual anniversary is August 19th, so I'm going to have to work with depending on my work schedule is. So, but we're in the planning stages for it. Somebody asked if I was going to do something for my birthday. I always usually do something for my birthday every year, but August is when my 5-year podiversary is. Thank you, Zara. Thank you. It'll be nice. It's fun. I mean, I'm still doing it. I can't believe 5 years. I'll be almost 5 years, 4.5 years. I've been doing it, and I'm still here. Still a little channel, and that's okay. Like I said, I've talked to people before. You should be bigger. I don't want to get so big I can't interact with people, answer their comments, answer their questions. It's more. This is not a business to me. This is something I enjoy doing. It's like my go-to for, hey, I'm having a bad day or something, and I just need some camaraderie. I get my Yarny family, and we, get together for an hour and chit chat, show our projects and what have you. Boy, this is really up close. Boy, this really thing is zoomed in. You can actually see Farahon. My pride. I am so proud of that. Actually, let's fix it here. Can you still hear me if I put my mic over here? Can you still hear me? Just let me know if it sounds okay. But little sis and I, we filmed the entire 2023 Advent. We did 5 days at a time, and we finished all the videos yesterday. We did 4 in one day. Oh, thanks, Zara. And thanks, Regals. And we had a lot of fun doing it, and I've got everything recorded. But again, I'm going to try editing later and getting them up, and I'm going to upload them all, but they'll be scheduled to go live, go live on different days for while I'm working. So there's a video going up. I did a whips and finished objects video, I have a tutorial I got to film. So I'm getting all this stuff filmed. Then I got to go in and edit and then upload it, schedule it. So it's getting there. The next video I'm going to film tonight is the I-cord video. And basically, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Zara, I'm going to search for a second editing program when the other one decides to be icky. Either that or see if I can roll it back to the previous version. I use Wondershare Filmora 13. But the two, my aim to get the two videos to get video tonight are the Prim Hooks and Needles review / demo and the I-cord. Now the I-cord is going to be the traditional 2DPN I-cord. Then I'm going to show the tulip, the Addy Egg, and the embellished knit, and the original cordsmith. I messed around a little bit. I'm not a professional yet, but enough that I can do it and show you and give you some of the ins and outs of it. And I-cords just aren't for knitting. I mean, like people that you can crochet. I don't know how to crochet an I-cord. Something I got to learn. But with these machines I have, it makes making I-cords. And with I-cords, if you have a lot of stash, a lot of scrap yarn, or one of those magic balls people make by tying their, that's what I'm doing tonight, Zara. I wanted to get the Advent done and then do this. I'm doing all this recording in between everything going on here at the house and running to the mainland and all that good stuff. Dogs, life. But I'm going to do those two tonight. So I'll have like a week and a half's worth of videos already pre-recorded. Next Wednesday or Thursday, I got to look at my schedule. I'm off those 2 days, but I got to look and see if I have any appointments. I am going to be scheduling the quarterly Island Yarnies members video. It's a live, but it's a private video, just the Island Yarnies. If I have enough interest, if not, then I won't schedule it. But with my Island Yarnies. I had a wonderful, yesterday I had a face-to-face with Lindsay from Knit Eco Chic on here, and she was helping me with this pattern I was doing of hers called Arctic Climbs. I've showed it to you. It's that ear warmer and cowl. It's got the cables and has the unique construction that it's a join as you go. Like you join one stitch and then you continue in pattern, come around, join another stitch, continue in pattern, and you do that until you get it as wide as you want. And it's very unique. So I saved the video because I've got to. Of course, I messed it up. I ended up twisting my headband again. So but I'm going to work on that. It's kind of like, make a cup of tea. And in fact, tonight I'm going to be making some tea off my Advent calendar. I showed the ones I wasn't drinking because making 4 videos in a row, I couldn't drink 4 cups of tea. I'd been in the bathroom all day. Tea makes, but there were some really good teas. And Vadam is from India. So I got some. You're welcome in, Dragon Cat. Welcome in. Dragon Cat, did you have any luck with your getting your DK yarn for the Arnie and Carlos? Which I have mine. I've got to pick. I'm waiting for my red DK to get here because I don't have any red DK. I was using a number 2, and it was the cream was literally swallowing the red. So, and I have a new gadget coming. It's from Michaels. It's the stand that has 2 poles where you can put 2 yarns working for color work. So that's what and that's for to do Arnie and Carlos's Advent. And little sis gave me a pattern for Christmas where she'd made me. You see that little stocking there, and there's another one right up there. She sent me the pattern, so I have a mini hat, mini jumper, mini stocking, mini mittens, and Advent balls. All those for garland and Advent. Okay, Dragon Cat, no worries. Like I said, mine's going to be just taking my time doing it because it's my first really real color work. Excuse me, I got heartburn real bad today. Marlene, for some reason, it makes me have to go to the bathroom. I no sooner finish a cup of tea and I'm running to the restroom. Coffee, I can drink a lot more, but I drink a lot of tea also, coffee and tea. I can drink a big, huge glass of water and not make me have to go. It gives it time to swoosh around there and flush my kidneys out. I think you guys will enjoy it. You guys will have fun with when Darlene and I were opening our advents. We had a lot of fun. The videos average between 15 to 25 minutes in there because we talked about other things while we were doing it. But we had a lot of fun, a lot of nice gifts. Mary, I'll let you wait till you see the videos. But my stockings there was my handmade gift right there and up there, and I got the pattern. All right, Mika, sleep well, my dear. Sleep well. Sleep well. Pleasant dreams. But yep, I cleaned up a little bit in here, put away, had some like a bunch of patterns laying around, cleaned off my tutorial area, put them in their binders. My gosh, do I got binders? I got 2 magazine holders with all vintage crochet and knit books. But I'm just something else I wanted to talk about. How many here have worked with Premier's Nordica yarn? How many of you here have worked with it? If you remember, I'm doing the Nordica sweater, right? There's the back piece all done. Okay. This is that self-patterning yarn. Makes it look like you worked really hard, but it's really easy. I had cast on both sleeves because I'm going to do them 2 at a time. And I got that far into the 2 sleeves. It's like, oh no, I had to frog it. Got disgusted, cast on the front. I'm just in the process of doing ribbing. But what I had to do was I had to go through the yarn and I had to come across till I saw something that looked close to this, so I at least get them to match up relatively close. Okay, this is the ribbing on the back piece, and I only got a little bit done, but here's what I've got going for ribbing on the front piece. To match the pattern, when I go to do the sleeves, I am going to have to get 2 skeins and pull the skeins out to control until I get to a point where they're exactly the same. And then I cast on the 2 sleeves at that point. Because what they don't tell you in the pattern or really anything about it, and I looked around and there was really nothing there. That's why I'm talking about it now. If anybody in the future comes to watch this and you know, I'll put some kind of a hashtag Nordic or something in it. So if somebody's looking for it, they'll know that it doesn't work up automatically like it does. You have to work a little bit at it. You have to control, and you really have to pay attention because it is a self-patterning yarn. When you're pulling out your skein and you're looking for it, you've got to line those, each skein, line them up so they're the same. So it works up the same, because in the picture it shows you the cuffs, the ribbing, and the stripes, everything lining up perfect. It's not that easy. You got to work at it. Even though it does the patterning work for you, to get it to look like that, you got to work at it. Yeah, it is a little bit, but again, this is one of my lingering whips that I'm trying to work on. You know, by the end of the year, I want all the whips from last year done because they're big projects. That's why I'm working on small projects like this cowl. There'll be more fingerless mitts. I even messed around with my Centro today, my 22 Centro, making those twisted headbands. I just got to work with that, just messing around with it, just sitting here. I was talking with Suzanne, so I was just sitting there winding. My other 2 I gave away or donated. My next purchase would be an Addie King Express, the big one, the 46 pin. And that's on my Amazon wish list, watch list, whatever you call it, to watch when the price drops, because they're quite expensive. But they're great if you do a lot of charity knitting. Also, I had shown this I don't know. It might have been during the broomstick cow that I showed this. This is a pattern I saw, and it come up in my Facebook feed, I think. And I clicked on the page, went to Ravelry. I bought the pattern. Now, see, with my socks are, it's free for all. It'll be what it'll be. Kimji, I don't know how it would do in socks. I mean, this is just I just did this together. That's how wide it comes for socks, and it's not a real. You know, you could probably do a tube and then have to do an afterthought heel and put your ribbing on. But I enjoy the process of knitting socks. I really do. It's a very repetitive, very mindless, except when you're doing a patterned sock, which I want to do a mock cable sock. I'm on the hunt though, because I don't have any really plain. I want solid colored sock yarn. All mine's like self-striping. So I want to get some plain. I'm watching it for it to go on sale. In fact, it's Hirschner's. Hirschner's, I think, has the perfect duo. It's two cakes already set to match. You pull from them, whether you pull from the inside or the outside, and they're set to go. And they actually had them on sale for $6 US. That is a heck of a price, because if you go like to Mary Maxim, where they have it's called Perfectly Matched, it's like $20 for 450 yards of sock yarn. Whereas Hirschner has it on sale. Is it in my basket? Yeah, I got a whole bunch of stuff in my basket right now because I'm planning a couple of Christmas blankets that I have to make. I don't have any of the red and white. One of the Christmas gifts I'm making, and my brother-in-law doesn't watch this show, so I'm not worrying about it. If you guys remember, a couple years ago, I made that Canadian flag corner to corner that we raffled off for my local shelter. He saw that and he fell in love. He wanted one. I says, one of these days I'll get one made for you, because it was a big. It covered my queen size bed down over the sides. I said to my sister-in-law, I said, I should get the yarn. I have a couple of skeins of red, but I should get the yarn and make that blanket for John for Christmas. I can just sit it in my knitting tote over in the chair. It's just corner to corner, and work on it in the evening, even if I just do a few rows, and have it done for Christmas for him. So I've got to order the yarn, and I've been watching for sales. Mary Maxim and Hirschner's, they both right now have yarn in my baskets just sitting there. Because I really haven't been buying any yarn. A few skeins or cakes that I bought in the past year plus. Most of it has been for a project. There was a couple oddball. Double crochet, Kim. I used to double crochet. I watched a tutorial by, I think, Jada. And yeah, I don't think I even have a picture. I don't know. See my profile photos. I'm just looking to see if I have a picture of it. Yes, I do. That's the blanket I made. I gotta lower my. That's the blanket I made. It was a Canadian flag. And that's a queen size bed that's going down over the sides. It was a. There it is. Oh, for heaven's sakes. There it is. So he wants one. That one was done in Red Heart. I had lucked out, was at Michael's, and caught the red for $2 a skein, and that's $2 Canadian. So I had a bunch of white, but that blanket took a lot of yarn. I think it was 3,500 yards of yarn. But it was fun to, and I bought the pattern, so I have the pattern. I actually have a graph for a Canadian blanket in single crochet. Oh no, I'm not doing a single crochet blanket. I'll do corner to corner. But so that's one of the things I want to do. This pattern I found, it just come up in my Facebook feed, and when I saw the yarn she did it in and what it looked like, I thought it's doable. I mean, you'd think this was knit. This is crocheted. That is a crocheted handbag. She used Vanna Choice, which is an acrylic yarn, and she lined it. So I bought the pattern. Yeah, but Kim G, you know, it kills us up here. Well, Kim, you're up in Canada, aren't you? I've never ordered from Joann's yet. I've gone in, I put stuff in my basket because I have the app on my phone. Oh, look at that. I'm bleeding. I don't know what the heck I did. Forever. I'll have to check it out. Because the other route I was looking at was, you're in Pennsylvania. Okay. Yeah, that's right, because I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm from southwestern PA, over about 40 minutes out of Pittsburgh, southeast of Pittsburgh. Greensburg, Westmoreland County. That's where I grew up at. Okay, well, you enjoy your supper. Zara, those are crocheted cables. I love knitted cables, and I like the looks of the crocheted cables. When I did that pillow with Lisa, when we all did that, and then I did that sweater from Anu, you know, I got better at the crochet cables. I just love the look of cables. I just love the look of cables. I know, I'm a glutton for punishment. I really am. I went to Penn State, Kim G. That's my alma mater, but I attended West Penn School of Nursing in Pittsburgh. That's where I got my nursing at. But I also had college courses, and they were from Penn State, so that was my alma mater. That State College, that's up near where Jane Wynn from Scraptastic Yarns lives. I know exactly where Altoona is. When I was driving for UPS pulling doubles, I used to go up to. Oh, okay, little sis. I used to go up to Altoona every night and drop my two trailers, pick up 2 more trailers, and head back to New Stanton. Know exactly where Altoona is at. But so that bag, I've got fabric downstairs, so I'm gonna line it, and I'll order a set of leather handles from Amazon, and I'm gonna make that bag. I'm gonna go through my yarn. I have some. I'm gonna look for something that looks like a tweed. I'll see if I think I have tweed yarn here. I'll have to look and see what I have, or a heathered yarn, acrylic. And it's just a number 4 weight yarn. It's an intermediate pattern. Heck, if it was advanced, I'd still try it. Let's face it, I do Lindsay's patterns. And y'all, she's coming out with a new book later this year. I cannot wait. She says that I'm going to love it. Her and I were on yesterday, a good hour, and we went over the pattern for a little bit, and then we had a really beautiful, beautiful talk. And she said, I'll be, because we were talking about brioche, and that's a challenge for me to do brioche. I've watched a lot of tutorials on it. I think it's very beautiful, and it looks intimidating to me. But then again, Kim G, just go for it. That's what I'm talking about now. Being intimidated by a stitch or a technique. I was intimidated by DPNs and just making socks. Well, one day I just said, you know what? I'm going to try it. Did I fail? Miserably for I don't know how long. But one day it just finally clicked and I'm knitting socks on DPNs. Then I found 9-inch circulars and I love 9-inch circulars. And then I started with high flyers and crazy Addy Crazy Trio. I love socks. I enjoy doing socks. Some people do them 2 at a time. I've tried it. I just don't like Magic Loop. I just don't like it. So when I do 2 sleeves at a time, they're flat. If they're in the round, 1 at a time. But I just do my one sock and then cast the other one on and do it too. Same way when I do. If it's knit flat, I can do 2 at a time. But if it involves Magic Loop, nope. Nope. So, yeah. And see, Darlene loves Magic Loop. Me and Magic Loop just don't get along. And that's fine. Everybody has, no way is the right way or the wrong way or the better way. It's what is comfortable for you. That's the thing about what we do. Everybody has different comfort levels. Now, me, I did this in the yayas. A couple of years ago it started and it still goes on. Hashtag outside your comfort zone. But that's for a reason. It's to push you outside your comfort zone, get you to try new things. You don't know if you're going to like it or able to do it until you try it. I was talking with somebody on Mosaic. It will. Exactly, Marlene. Exactly. Now you can get into some real. That's the best way to start, Kim. This is just my opinion. When there's a couple of videos, I saved them in my playlist. I have a private playlist that's all about socks. And Kay from the Crazy Sock Lady has an awesome tutorial on 9-inch circulars, and you can get a pattern to go with it, so you can follow right along with her. Stacy from Very Pink Knits has a lot on it. She's got slow-mo videos. Another one that I watched on 9-inch, in fact, it was the first one I watched on 9-inch circulars, it's called Simply in Stitches. And she has literally like a 9-part tutorials. A tutorial on 9-inch circulars in like 9 parts, I think. And really, and with that, I was on my way, you know. But when I do with 9-inch circulars, when I do my heel flap and gusset, because that's pretty much the heel that I use most of the time, I use 2 DPNs because I do a 64 stitch cast on. I have 32 stitches that are on the front needle. That's my instep that goes across my foot. The back 32 stitches are where you're going to create your heel. And because those are knit back and forth. Purl together, she uses Magic Loop. I'm sorry. That's like Lisa in Pink. I'm like with Magic Loop. But I find it easier to do the flat part where you're slip one knit across, then you turn that flap where you're making your heel flap, and you slip one and purl back. I do that on 1 DPN. I have 4-inch sock DPNs, and I'm working with the second DPN. Once I get that done there, and I start having to pick up my stitches along here, we're going to make the gusset. Then I go ahead and pick it up with my needle, and then I knit across. And when I get to the other side, I start slipping from the DPN back so I can pick my stitches up. It's an extra step, but I find that my tension, I don't get the holes. Even on DPNs, I've learned there's a couple methods that I don't get the holes. And sometimes I do PNs just for the challenge of it, and I like it. Or I'll cast a pair of socks on, one on DPNs, one on 9-inch circulars. But it's all in what you're comfortable with. That's the biggest thing, what you're comfortable with. But when you conquer something that you've been afraid to do or intimidated by, and you get that satisfaction like, yes, I did it. And you only get better with practice. This year, brioche, color work. Those are two big things I'm going to do this year. When I first started testing for designers, and that's 5 years ago, I was testing for designers, even longer than that. Yeah, 5 years ago, 2018, I got back into knitting and crocheting after 40-year hiatus. I just didn't take easy tests. I dove right in head first, and my first test for Lindsay was the Airbender shawl, which is one of her most advanced patterns. Now, I took the easier part of that pattern, and I've talked about Airbender many times, but it's just like you have an iconic pattern that you just absolutely love. I love Airbender. I do. I just love it. And from there, I went on, but it was, and believe me, I failed miserably till I finally got it. But I did the simple cast off and bind off and that. It works better. I find it works better, Darlene. I really do. I mean, for me, I find it works. I mean, there's times I didn't have DPNs with me. Doing my heel flap and gusset on my 9-inch circulars, I found that it stretched my side stitches too much. So by doing the, that's one of those future videos you can say, oh, here's, tips, tricks, and whatever. But it's personal preference. Just like I'm doing solar flare, which Lindsay loves cables. She loves cables, and I do too. But she says, you don't have to use a cable needle to do cables. It's basically all a cable is knitting stitches out of order. Yeah, I tried it. No. A two cable front or two cable back. Yes, I can do those. I just reverse stitches and knit them. But when you start getting into 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 stitch cables, I did the Arctic Climb pattern, and there was a 10 stitch cable that I did on Arctic Climb. It was, I put 5 on my cable needle, held it to the front, and then you knit the 5. I have my Briggs & Little, Marlene, and I cast them on most of the time onto DPNs. 3, sometimes 4 DPNs. It just depends. And I use the tried and true Briggs & Little 2x2 rib sock, the 2x2. That was the first sock pattern I ever did, and that's for my work socks. Who makes it look easy? Not me. I don't make it look easy knitting socks. I am a slow knitter. I am a process knitter. I am a process crocheter. I am a process crafter. I've got stitch markers that need to be made. Oh my God, Lindsay. Lindsay is a phenomenal knitter. And she taught herself to knit from books. Because the illness she contracted when she was 16 and was confined to a hospital for a long time, they brought her some cotton. They brought her 2 straight knitting needles, and that's how she learned. And when you do watch her, I'm encouraging her to put more tutorials up onto her YouTube channel, because she does have some up there for her patterns. And then she has like a whole bunch on brioche, and she has some tips and tricks tutorials. But her voice is very soothing, and she I don't know, she just makes it look easy. Knitting backwards. She's knitting backwards, making it look so easy. I'm like, which means no purling. You're just knitting backwards. Welcome in, Paula. Welcome in. Marlene, was that on your Hermione socks? Because that's where I did my eye of the partridge, was on my Hermione socks. I had a dozen pair of socks made, and I sold all but 2. So I bought all my socks. Even my neon pink, my fuchsia pink Briggs & Little wool socks. So I have that pair cast on that it's actually going to be sitting here working on because it's just stockinette. It's funny. I have to have knitting or crocheting with me. I got to be doing it. I just can't. Yeah. Catch your zipper in the bag. This is the socks I'm making from that. I showed them. I did my whips and finished objects, that organic wool. This was from a Aberdeen's mystery bag that I had gotten. I got 4 of them and I gave away 2 of them combined to make bigger bags, but I kept a couple things from it. But I love the way the color is working up on this. See, I don't so much worry about my stripes matching up. I don't care. They're going on my feet. They're just going on my feet, so I really don't care. I mean, I've even been practicing my continental knitting, which I do sometimes, which is where you hold the yarn in your left hand and you knit with your left hand. And I have the purling gives me cramps, but when it's just stockinette, I do that and it gives me a break on the muscles on my right hand. But I'm slower with it. So what's everybody working on? I mean, it's a new year. Anybody working on some new techniques? Well, Marlene, and there's actually, and Simply in Stitches has a tutorial for Hermione socks. But Hermione socks, it's a free pattern. You can get it on Ravelry. It's a free pattern. Has the Eye of the Partridge heel. And it's a pretty cool looking heel. I was talking with a friend of mine who's been a knitter of 50 plus years. First knit shop. Congratulations, Dragon Cat. We were talking about it. I play poker with her. There you go. Who cares? My socks match. That's why I won't do any more socks on commission. What was I gonna say? I had a complete brain cramp. Complete brain cramp. I'm tired. I mean, I've got these bags under my eyes. Zara, hold on. Now, this isn't all that I have. I've got some pattern books, magazines, books that are all socks. This is all sock patterns. Now, right here, this information here is all my sock information for what to cast on, for foot sizes, proper sizing for sock knitting. I have a conversion chart here that shows you how many balls of yarn. I mean, this is all information I talked about in the video once. And shoe size conversion charts. It's really good. It's free on the internet. I mean, it's free. All this stuff's free on the internet. But the socks you were talking about, I have shorty socks, and any sock can be shorty. You just make your leg shorter. That's all you got to do. It's the length of the leg. I even have the Fish Lips Kiss heel pattern. It was $1. I got that. I haven't tried it yet. You can tell this is my 2 favorite patterns are Hermione and Rose City Rollers. As you can see how many times I've used this pattern. This is Hermione, which has I've got 10 binders full of patterns. They're all categorized. And then I have a stack that high of magazines. This is what the partridge heel looks like in the Hermione sock. Right there. You say there's so many free patterns. I have some paid for patterns I bought. I was gifted a pattern from Sam over at an Irish knitting podcast. He gifted me because he designed socks. His designs are gorgeous. They were based on Venetian buildings. Free pattern, beginner socks for magic loop, toe up, toe down. He gifted me this pattern. Chal de Oro socks. He gifted this pattern to me. He designed those. And they're based on that piece of architecture. I've got a DK weight vanilla sock pattern. I've done these ones. You guys have seen me do these ones. Ladies, lace top socks to get you just introduced to some basic lace in your socks. Very simple beginner pattern. Rib DK. I just prefer the shorty socks. I don't like anything way up my legs. The wool socks I make for work are just, they're not even quite 6 inches. I've got very pink knits flex. These I haven't made, but I want to make these. These are crocheted. I think this is a paid for pattern. They're laced knee-high socks. Those are crochet. Would be great for slippers around the house. Hold on a second. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute. I'll be right back. I hear the dogs causing problems. What are you doing out here? That she's telling you? You jumping?
No, I'm trying to drive Gracie and she won't stay on the fucking plan.
Kiva, you want to go in your kennel and you want to go in that kennel? Kiva, you want to go in that kennel?
No, don't look at me. I'm not giving you nothing right now.
You ain't getting nothing. I know, because I was trying to do it and try her. She put a hole in my hand when it falls, so I was trying to drive Gracie on.
Yeah.
I was bleeding. I went
Yeah. Oh yeah, from it.
You're going to get a timeout, and I'm going to put you in that kennel. We're having issues with Kiva. She's quite pushy. So that's what the problem was. I'm back. I'll have to see where I found this pattern at. It was Sophie and Me. It's a pay for pattern. I purchased it on anniescatalog.com. That's where I purchased it at. Zara, you said you wanted. There's Isabel socks. Not to mention the ones that are sitting in my Ravelry library by Stephen West. And this is Kay Litton from Crazy Sock Lady. Her patterns. I bought the patterns. They weren't that expensive. There is vanilla socks on Magic Loop. I tried it. There's her pattern for 9-inch circulars. She has one for DPNs too. You remembered I had them, they're over in the canvas tote. The ruffled socks by Lion Brand. It was a free pattern. I put it up on my description box. Oh, I just found somebody was asking me about fingerless mitt patterns, and I just found them. They got to come out of here and go in the other book. I'll take them out of here. But I mean, I have DK weight socks. There's one of my go-tos, Rose City Rollers. That's a great beginner sock for somebody because you don't have to really worry about any ribbing. And then these are by Joji Locatelli, her Flores socks. A lot of lace work. And again, in my Ravelry library, I've got Stephen West's his whole year of the socks because I love his pattern. His pattern is a little bit more, a lot of color work, which I haven't got into yet. And this is a traditional Briggs & Little 2x2 socks. Been around for 100 years. worsted weight. They work up fast. They've been using them here for years. If I don't put away my stuff, I forget, and then my craft room gets overrun. No, Zara, I haven't. It's on my. I have the patterns, right? It's on my, in my Ravelry. I bought the Year of the Socks, and it's in my Ravelry. I did it for 2024, so they'll come out one at a time. And I have his 2023. His socks are just very unique. A lot of them are geometric, a lot of color work, slip stitching. I mean, he's got some great patterns. I love it. I love his. I think he's a phenomenal designer. My favorite knit designer is Lindsay Luchuk, followed by Chantel from Knititude. I think Stephen West by far has probably some of the most beautiful, intricate patterns, but he also has patterns for beginners. Lindsay has patterns for beginners. When they make garments, I look for a designer. Yes, his shawls. Yeah. I have Slipstravaganza. I have the one, the hybrid knit along from last year. All the patterns are in my Ravelry library. I got 6 pages of patterns in my library. What turns me off to a designer is when they're not size inclusive. What I mean by size inclusive, it's real simple. If they only make small, medium, and large, it's really not worth buying the pattern, because I am not a designer. I really am not knowledgeable enough to figure out the math for the increases and decreases. And because when you're starting to get into garments, sweaters, tops, dresses, stuff like that, you need to know what you're doing. Okay, Marlene, you and Bruce have a good night. Enjoy. Spring's just around the corner. We'll be visiting. Welcome in, Sunflowers. Sunflowers, I've known a few people that have done the shawls. If you watch Needles at the Ready, Gary from Urban Yarns, they have done the Stephen West shawls, and they're beautiful. And I did the one that had the Latvian braid. That's the one I started, and then I got ticked off and I frogged it. I was so frustrated. I do that. I get upset with my pattern. I frog the whole thing. I don't care if I have months of work into it, a year's work. I rip it out. Frog time. But Stephen West, one thing I gave with him is he has a lot of technique tutorials for his patterns. And he's tried to do more. Oh, so I didn't either, but when I started, I love it. Now I'm moving this year. I'm moving to some smaller projects. I mean, besides blankets, just because. Welcome in, Suzanne. Long time no talk to. Just because I just want to have some just small projects that I can, I've already have a couple finishes for the year. I'm just doing some small projects. Excuse me, while working on the lingering whips from last year. Have them finished by the end of the year. Clear the needles, clear the hooks, which I managed to clear 4 whips before, during December. Exactly. But you just got to challenge yourself. Don't say to yourself that you can't do it. Try it, and if at first you don't succeed, try again. And it's really true. Without failure, we can't enjoy the success. And once you do get that, now it may not be what you think is their standards. Go for your standards. This cowl that I'm doing, the Arctic Climbs, I may end up having to put my twist on it to get it to fruition. so I can wear it. Because I'm also making the cowl to it, because it's a really easy pattern, and I'll just wind it. And so, but I want to try the technique that she wrote in the pattern. You know, I want to, I want to be able to conquer that. You know, I have been doing advanced patterns since I first started 5 years ago. And some I was able to breeze right through. Others I struggled. A lot of frogging went on. But in the end, when I finished it, I felt a sense of accomplishment. I felt proud of myself. So I said that commission sweater I did for Christmas, that fisherman's cable sweater, I absolutely patted myself on the shoulder and said, "Job well done." I was really pleased with it. Not saying that I didn't have to frog coming through it because something didn't work out. My cables, my seed stitch, something was off by one stitch, and I'd have to frog it because it was a commission. Okay, sunflowers. There is actually, I don't know who has it. Somewhere in my pile of my pattern books, there is a way that you establish, and I think Chantel from Knititude had a thing she did on Instagram about it. How to fit yourself for a garment. You know, are they using the finished bust size as the sizing? Are they, you know, if it's a sweater, you know, um, they do most of the math. And if a designer doesn't do the math and leaves, I won't buy their pattern if it's a paid for pattern. But like, you measure your arm, you measure your bust, you measure your length, stuff like that. You know, if it's a tighter fitting sweater, you measure your biceps. I measure from around my tuchus, my bum, to the middle of my hips to see what that measurement is. Because I mean, it's not gonna come straight down. You might have to taper a little bit. Exactly. Same. Exactly. Sis, I do amigurumis. But when it comes to garment making, the biggest piece of advice I can give you, whether it's knitting or crocheting, gauge swatch in the yarn and hook or needle that you're going to use. Because with garments, it's not forgiving like blankets and scarves, even hats. Gauge swatch. Washed and blocked and dried. Then measure your gauge. Welcome in, Doris. Welcome in, dear. And if it tells you, it gives you the stitch to do your gauge swatching. I had a tutorial I did about gauge swatching, and I talked about this. And you have to do it it'll say 4x4 in stockinette, if it's knitting, 4x4 in double crochet. But then if it says 4x4, which is 4 inches by 4 inches, it'll tell you how many stitches, how many rows high in cable pattern. Then you go to your pattern, you look for that stitch, that pattern stitch, and that's what you do your swatch in. Because some stitch patterns use more, like a cable uses a little bit more yarn, baubles use more yarn. The designer, when they do their math, this is all figured into the instructions. Okay, I am lost somewhere here. Dragon Cat. I'm glad I did one. Dodged a bullet. I'm not good at one. But and if you deviate from the yarn weight that they give you, then you have to know, okay, you go up to a bigger size yarn, your pattern's going to be bigger because it's a higher weight yarn. Been there, done that. If you go to a lighter weight yarn and you use a bigger hook or needle, it's going to be lacy, drapey. It's not going to be the pattern. We're on something like that, okay, if you're petite and you're short in the torso, okay, what they call the body of the sweater, whether you're doing it flat, in the round, or two front, if it's a cardigan, if it's just a pullover sweater, and you're doing it in pieces, say, if you're going to start out, I'd say to start out with a front, a back, and 2 sleeves, and then have to sew it together. When you're doing that, you can adjust by rows on the body of the sweater. That's where you would make it shorter. Same as the sleeves. There's a part of the sleeve where you're not decreasing. In the area where you're not decreasing, just do less rows. That's how you adjust your length. Okay? And the way to do that is get somebody to help you measure from the top of your neck, like where you're just the base of your skull, where you'll feel the bone in your neck. Measure from there down to about the crack of your butt, your little dimple there. That's usually a good place people like sweaters. See how long that is. Write it down somewhere. When you're making your sweater, measure as you're knitting or crocheting it. You measure. Don't forget you have ribbing for the most part in sweaters, and you also have to leave yourself room for neck trim, seaming on the sides. But that's how you just try as you go. And eventually you get comfortable enough with it that you can take a pattern and say, oh, I'm going to do watching stitch count. This is where you have to know a little bit. If you take a pattern and it's going to fit you for your bust size, but you don't think it's going to fit you around your hips, so you're going to make the extra large rather than the large, knowing that it's going to be bigger around, it's going to be snug around the bust because you're going for your hips. Then you've got to adjust. Okay, the sleeve's going to be longer on that person, or it's going to be one. This is where YouTube is invaluable. There are a lot of good informational videos out there that tell you how to make a pattern fit you. Don't let that be the only reason you don't do garments. Some people don't want to do garments because it takes too long. They want the instant gratification. Well, you know what? It gets boring just doing hats and scarves and dishcloths, granny squares. Challenge yourself. Now, don't do it. Don't do what I did and have a half a dozen large projects going on because then you get overwhelmed. But there are ways to figure it out. There's some great tutorials by expert knitters and crafters on YouTube, as well as the Craft Yarn Council, the CYC. If you go to their website, it is an invaluable source of information, tips, tricks. It really is. So that's the best advice I can give you there. But don't let that be the only reason, that stops you from making garments. Okay. I know people, it's the opposite for them. I made a top for a designer and I did it in 5X for my sister-in-law. And I still had to make adjustments because I would get her to try it on. Because she was long in the torso. So I had to, but people that are a plus size feel. I'm a self-taught knitter and pretty much self-taught crochet. I learned the basics from grandma when I was 10. And that was with thread. If you're going to go to a pattern, okay, there's some very great tutorials on YouTube, as well as going to Ravelry, put in beginner, knit, crochet, sweater, top, something as simple. For a first knit sweater, one of your best ones to knit or crochet is a boxy. It's called a boxy sweater, and it's basically, and that's what it's made. It's made to be loose and flowing and just, but Crystal has some great tutorials, but then also you go on to Ruby Stedman. She's a huge channel. She can't write patterns, but she has tutorials, which is my first sweater I ever made was from one of her tutorials, and it had cables in it and it had lace. I did it in a 5 bulky wool. And it was pieces. Front, back, 2 sleeves. Seam it up. But that is a way for you to start. No, it's not that I'm a nerd. Okay, I am a nerd. I will tell you that right up front. I've always been a nerd. That's how you do a drag cat. If you're going to get into your craft and you really want to explore it, knowledge, no problem. I get it from reading. I read craft magazines. I go to YouTube and I study. I learn about. When I first got in it back into knitting and crocheting 5 years ago, I knew zip. But when I went in head first and immersed myself. I learned about fibers, materials that your tools are made of, and how they react with different fibers. Like, for example, bamboo knitting with knitting needles. I use with silk and very slippery fibers because they got a little bit of grip to them. Same thing with plastic. I love my prim hooks for crocheting. Tunisian, my Denise set's plastic. Love it. My metal, my Chiaogus, very slick. And anything like silk or bamboo that slides, because I'll be knitting along and there they go, zip, right off my needles. And now I've got a bunch of drop stitches. And if it happens to be in a cable, I'm screwed. Then it's frog back. Lifelines. Do I use them? Once in a while. I recommend Lifelines. Great videos out there. But that's how you do it. Learn. I go to videos and I'll put in a search subject. Brioche techniques, casting off techniques, stuff like that. Fiber information, and it all comes up. There's a watch Barbara knit. Now she is a master knitter and she's a designer and all that. And she has a lot of videos with information, about fibers, about needles and how they react together and how they, yes, dental floss is too. And in fact, that's what Lindsay got into because she couldn't use the metal in the needles. But this is, yes, they are. I'll tell you, I have Chiaogus and I have Clover Takumi bamboo needles. And I have a set of one set of needles, just one set of tips of Mindful, which are very, very like Chiaogu. My sock needles, I happen to have a set of Haya flyers. Haya has what's called sharps and Haya steel. When they say their sharps are sharp, I've got scars from the holes I have put into my finger when I was knitting socks. It literally punctured right through my finger. They're dangerous, but they're great needles. Now, if you're just getting into knitting, do not make the mistake that a lot of us do. Try out different types of needles. A lifeline is you put that through your knitting when you are like every 5 rows or every 10 rows, particularly if you're doing it in a pattern, that if you mess up and you have to frog back, you just have to frog back to that lifeline. When I do put a lifeline in, I make a notation in the pattern, lifeline inserted. So I know where in the pattern I rip back to. So when I go back to redo what I just ripped out, I'm starting at the right place. But if you put a lifeline in and have no idea where you're at in the pattern, it's not going to work because you don't know where you're at in the pattern, especially if you're doing like 2 of the hardest things to frog and redo is cables and lace work. Cables are a little easier than lace work to do, but when you're starting to drop stitch it, when you're increasing, decreasing, yarn overs, short rows, knit 2 together, SSK, all these different things that you're doing within a pattern, and you have to recreate that after frogging. If you don't have a lifeline in, you're starting from square one. So lifelines help save you time. But if you're going to buy, and again, anybody in here, pop right in here how you did. But if you're going to buy or decide what you want, plastic, bamboo, steel, stainless steel, aluminum, needles. I'm just talking about knitting right now. Some needles have a little hole in them that as you're knitting, it will feed the lifeline through as you're knitting. Other times you can take a tapestry needle, make it a blunt tip, not a sharp tip. Make sure you don't split your stitches, and you will literally hold your cord up, straight needle, whatever you're on, and you will take that right through the row that's on your needles and pull through, and just have yourself, so you have a couple, 2, 3 inches, 4 inches on either side, so you can pull the lifeline in and out. And that way, that when you frog back, all those live stitches are still live. They're not some pulled up, because I've frogged before and thought I had my live stitches, and half a dozen rows later, I realized I missed one, and it's dropped all the way down through there, and it's a pattern. It's a cable. So now I've got to frog again. There are some great tutorials on how to insert a lifeline, and the best one I have found is Stacy from Very Pink Knits, because she has slow motion videos, and she made them specifically for beginner knitters. And she has a whole playlist of slow-mo videos, as well as socks. She chose a heel and a toe and a cuff, and she did the sock, and she did tutorials on every one of them. She has a whole series on it. But buy yourself just a set of fixed circulars to start with. Get yourself one bamboo, one stainless steel. You can even go to the dollar store and get a needle, a set of needles, or Michael's or Hobby Lobby if you live in the States. And you try the different types of material, as well as the different types of needles. Zara is waiting patiently because I'm going to do the prim video tonight. Again, with the other 4 videos that need to be edited and uploaded. And see what you're comfortable with, because there's different types of tips. There's like Prim has it looks like a little drumstick tip, and I actually love them. They're great for purling. Don't split your yarn. Some have a little bit more of a blunter tip. I've used options from Knit Picks. I have used bamboo. I have used dollar store ones from I bought over 40 years ago. Straight needles. I still have a couple pair of straight needles that I do use. I like the short ones for dishcloths. To me, it's kind of nostalgic, That's how I learned to knit, was on straight needles. I knew nothing about I bought a set of circular needles and didn't even know what they were for. Seriously. And 5 years ago, I found out what they were for. And it was a while before I got into. I gave all my straight needles. I sent a whole box of all my straight needles down to somebody in the States. I kept one pair, and it was the very first knitting needles I ever used. And I did keep those. But I mean, maybe I'm too serious. Maybe I'm too, want to get immersed in what I'm doing. But it's to learn about the different fibers. I am not a yarn snob. I love acrylic blends. I love wool blends. I love all yarn. Do I find bougie yarn nice to work with? Absolutely. Merino's beautiful to work with, but so is that touch of alpaca that I used for $3.97 a ball from Lion Brand. This here is alpaca, silk, and merino, and cotton. Knit Crate yarn. But I will not pay full price for my yarn. People say, how do I get my yarn? How do I buy my yarn? Research it. And I sit there with a calculator, pencil, and paper, and I will sit there and figure out, okay, how much per skein with the shipping, tax, everything included, whether it's from Hirschner's, Lion Brand, Mary Maxim, Aberdeen's, Spin. I have my go-tos. And I only buy my yarn when it's on sale. I paid full price one time. And it was for a designer. And I thought, I'll support a local indie dyer. So I said, okay, I need the yarn kit for Stephanie Aaron. I did the Void Tunisian shawl. 3 skeins of yarn, 100 Canadian dollars. Never did it again. I love the Surrey baby alpaca. It felt wonderful. But I went to my local yarn shop when I was, I had a gift certificate from hubby a few years ago. And I saw them having silk mohair sitting there. And it was $18. I said, that's funny. So I told her what I had ordered it from. The only time I ever ordered from Hobium was, I ordered from Hobium 4 years ago. Ice. From Ice, I spent $19.85 Canadian. I ordered 2 packs of mohair, one white, one black of mohair. There was 8 to a pack. And that $19.85 was shipping and the yarn. I told her what I had at home and how much I paid for each skein, and she said, "You're kidding me." I said, "Nope." So I showed her on my phone. Says, "You check your silk mohair audit, Hobie, and other companies that have it. Holskarn, Titicaca. What I have, I bought on sale for $5 a donut, and it's just as soft and pretty." Holskarn's another favorite one of mine to order quality yarn at a good price. You know, I love watching people do their yarn unboxings. I live vicariously through them, but sometimes I just shake my head. I mean, I have a good job. I have bills. I have a good job, and I still will not pay. I don't care if I have the money. I can't justify paying $30, $40, $50, $100 for a hank or cake of yarn. I can't justify it. I can't. That's just my personal opinion. Everybody's different. I know some people, all they will work with is merino and indie dyed yarn. Hey, have at it. I got all kind of yarn to work with, and it's nice yarn. Even Red Heart has changed. Loops and Threads, which used to be called Craft Smart, that is a great blanket yarn, and I have made garments from it. It's a nice yarn. It's soft. Wash and dry. Done. You know, I mean, I have all these yarns here, all these cakes. They're great to work with. I showed the solar flare shawl that I'm doing it in because I asked Lindsay, and I actually went to the place where she got her yarn to see if I could get those very, very colors, because they were done in multiple colors, 5 colors, I think. I couldn't find, and I couldn't afford it. I couldn't. So I went to hunting on my. So I went to Hobie Sultan Cakes. Back then, when I got them, they were cotton cakes. Okay, good sunflowers, good. And I looked to say, what says solar flare to me? The one that went from reddish orange to yellow. Then I found some little skeins of cotton that were variegated red, orange, and yellow. And that's what I'll do the flames in. And not a one of them. The cotton cake was less than $10. It's on sale. But some, Suzanne, I've done some that were just as light. It just depends on the stitch and the yarn you use. How dense is the stitch? I made a sweater with them. I don't think they make them anymore, but Michael's had a thing called a swirl pie it was very reminiscent. It's reminiscent of a latte cake. Okay, sort of. It has fuzz to it, but it's very, very light. Comes in a very tight wound pancake. I still have some. It was left. And I did a sweater in there, and it had baubles and everything. It was just as light. When you put it on, it had long sleeves. It wasn't heavy at all. A 4-weight yarn is going to be heavy. 4-weight cotton. I'll tell you, I find cotton garments, whether they're summer or cotton, is heavy. Cotton garments are heavy. Sunflowers, you need to use what makes you comfortable. Now you're going to find different type. Yes, that's what I'm doing here. This is chain spun that I'm working with. Now this is a merino alpaca silk cotton blend. Again, stitch has something to do with it too. Okay, this is very light. This is 100 grams. It's very light, and this is, if you look, it's chain spun. And it's a DK weight, but it's very light. Another one that you'll find are the tubular yarns. They're literally like taking the yarn and blowing into them, and they kind of poof out. They're a very light yarn. Drops has some called Drops Air that is like that. Crystal showed one. I think it was Rosetta that was like that. It's like a blown yarn. It's a tube yarn. It's like single ply, but it's air blown into it. Very light yarn. I'm trying to think. I don't think I have any. I don't think I have any of that yarn. But it's the blown yarn is light. It's like air. Again, you have to look at what are you using it for too. See, when you're trying to pick out your yarn, what are you making? What kind of garment are you making? Are you making a sweater that's going to keep you warm? Well, the choice is easy. Acrylic, if that's what you're for, acrylic's fine. Got a lot of nice soft acrylics. Wool, pure wool, 100% wool. Wool blends. Actually, the wool will keep you more warm because wool doesn't absorb water and it breathes. That's why fishermen's sweaters and socks and stuff that they wear are made from wool. Rustic, 100% wool, 2-ply wool. Because of the properties of the fabric itself. Not the softest thing in the world. Merino wool, very soft. A lot of people can't use yarn that's processed. They have allergies to the chemicals that they process the yarns with. Well, that's why one of the biggest tests you can do with your weight of the yarn is your wraps per inch test. That's the best way to do it. They say you can make your own wraps per inch tool. I have an old DPN that I took, marked off an inch, put tape, and I do my wraps per inch. And I have a chart that tells me how many wraps per inch for lace 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I find a lot of Hobie yarns are mismarked for sizes. Those like that. That's why I ripped out that poncho. It said Cookie was a 5. No, it's not. It's a 4 and a 3 in some places. It's like a roving. Do your due diligence. Again, everybody's different. My tension might be tighter than somebody else's or looser. And that makes a lot of difference when you're making your garment. Is your tension. Are you a tight knitter? Are you like this? Are you a very loose knitter or a crocheter? I find too, different times of the day, different moods, my tension changes. So I've come back on projects and had to frog because I was angry and I was angry knitting or angry crocheting and all my stitches were really tight. I was like channeling all that anger into my yarn. So it messed up my gauge. I'm going to have about another 10, 12 minutes and I'm going to wrap this up. I was only going to be on an hour and here we are on almost an hour and a half. But again, I get excited talking about yarn and talking with you guys and my channel, the main thrust of my channel is I want to share with you what I make, what I've learned, and I also want to learn from you and be inspired by you. That's the same thing over on the Yaya page. It's to learn, to share knowledge, to share sales, to share our stash, share inspiration. That's why I do my channel. I may say about hopefully get monetized. If I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. That's not the biggest thrust of what I do this for. This is not my living. This is my passion. I do this because I knit and crochet every single day. Every single day for pretty much for the last 5 years, I have crocheted or knit. If I did not, my late husband would say, "What's the matter?" Because that is where I find my happy place. That is where I find my balance, which I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to find my balance, 2024. So, if you're new here, I hope you keep coming back. And if you have any ideas, if you're watching the replay, if you have any ideas or requests, yes, I am doing tutorials. They are coming. They are. I finished this. Go grab something for supper. I'm back in here. While I'm editing, I'll be filming. So, because I don't use my phone I have a camera I use for my tutorials. But Oh, I'm glad, Doris. Thank you for coming. I love when you guys come. And you know something? I have a group of people that are always here. And I appreciate anybody and everybody who comes here, whether you're subscribed or not. It's nice if you do. I appreciate it because then you get notified if I'm uploading, especially if I'm having a live. But you know, and again, 99% of the time I get everything in my description box. Sometimes I have to go back and add to my description box because I mentioned a channel, a technique, a pattern, a tool. But I do eventually get it there. I do try to keep up. And believe me, every comment that is made, I read. I thumb it. I heart it. I go back sometimes and I'll look at a couple of months worth of comments that I've already looked at. But I'll go in now and I have the time to sit and answer questions or comment. But believe me, I read everybody and I am thankful for the comments, the encouragement, the support that you guys have given me over this past year that's been so hard. 2024, I'm trying to do better. Yes, I'm coming up on a very bad anniversary. His passing is 1 year next Saturday. And it's not going to be an easy day for me. But I gather strength, my faith, and knitting and crocheting keep me going. I love what I do. I love to knit and crochet. I can talk knit and crochet all day long. And there's not a whole lot of people that do it. My sister-in-law, we talk a little bit about it, but she's not, you know. I go to poker on Saturday nights. Kathy and I sit there. We start talking. The guys come on and go, geez, I'm going inside. They're talking knitting. I sit there and knit at poker. I mean, I love to knit. I love to crochet. I love to Tunisian. I love to broomstick. I love all the fiber arts. So I do appreciate everybody coming. And be looking. If I can get that, I'll be releasing a couple videos over the weekend of the Advent that little sis and I did. And I'm going to get the Prim Review and the I-Cord. Those two are going to be done tonight. Those will be out by Monday. Like I said, I just got a lot of editing to do. And anybody that does tutorials know editing takes time. Kim, I love crocheting too. I love to crochet. I have crochet going, a knit going, a pair of socks. I have a blanket and Tunisian. I always have to have a variety of projects to work on so I can work on this one a little bit, work on this one a little bit. Thank you, Suzanne. No problem there. And Suzanne is one of the ones that's going to be gifting some things for the Podiversary, and they're really nice. But that'll be talked about and shown later. So everybody listen. I hope you're staying safe and you're healthy. You're happy. Do what it is that makes you happy. Don't listen to all the naysayers. Just do what makes you happy. As long as it doesn't hurt anybody, do what makes you happy. Knit and crocheting, do it. Hug, smiles, and happiness, pass it on. Make the world a better place each and every day. I believe that wholeheartedly, and I practice it. Okay? Remember to stay positive. Positive in, positive out, and your whole world will be a lot better. I hope you come back. We'll do another live on my next 5 days off. And have a great weekend. And I will see you all soon. I love you all dearly. Thank you so much for all your support for the last 4.5 years, going on 5. And I hope to continue to bring good content to you. Everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful night. Bye for now from Deer Island.